whole WNBA community is reeling from the shocking revelation made by the Indiana Fever. Caitlin Clark received what insiders are referring to as the $10 million fame prize 2 minutes ago. And in the most spectacular manner imaginable, head coach Stephanie White has officially announced it. This isn't your typical Lee Wolf. Either on X or YouTube or Facebook or Instagram, whatever. I mean, all these posts have a monetary value to them, based on a prize that is displayed on a shelf. This is blatant confirmation that challenges all of our preconceived notions about the importance, influence, and star power of women's basketball. This moment has been building for months, as everyone who has been following the Caitlin Clark story knows. The numbers are absolutely astounding, and they just came in. Let's take a moment to be honest. A recent piece from Forbes actually shattered the internet. We are discussing a thorough insight research that evaluates social media activity for each and every WNBA team. And the public was astounded when those figures were revealed. The current official valuation of the Indiana Fever's social media presence is $55 million. Not $55,000, not $5,000. Fan? This is something you already know. However, for the haters out there, the old WNBA fandom, many of you call them the slows. For those fans, they're in complete denial. We've tried to tell people, $55 million. From a business standpoint, that is more than the combined value of certain WNBA clubs. The worst part is still to come. Second place isn't even close. The Fever's disparity with every other team is so great that it nearly embarrasses the opposition. This report completely destroys arguments rather than merely resolving them. Arguments over who actually matters have been going on for months. Moves the needle, unlike anybody else in this league, or everybody else in this league. It just sorta is what it is. Fans are coming to see one particular player, and along with that carries over the support to the entire. There have been countless conversations, Twitter feuds, podcast arguments, and hot takes flowing in all directions in the WNBA. People have been debating impact, taking sides, and defending their positions. However, we now have quantifiable information, real figures, and facts that cannot be manipulated or explained away. Furthermore, the figures present an implausible narrative. Ignore the $55.4 million worth of social media for the Indiana Fever. Let that settle in for a minute. This isn't a haphazard estimate or assumption. This is the outcome of selecting a player who makes a difference in a way that this league has never seen before. Fans of Caitlin Clark were previously aware of this. Since day one, they have been yelling it from the rooftops. They have seen the attendance figures soar. The product has been flying off the shelves. They have seen venues that were just partially occupied. All at once it was full. However, the traditional WNBA fans, who are sometimes referred to as the snails, are currently living in total denial. They refuse to acknowledge what is directly in front of them. No one else in our league moves the needle like Caitlin Clark does. For a period, the narrative is over. The team as a whole naturally benefits from the support of the fans who come to see a specific player. Now, before allegations are made against anyone, growing popularity at WNBA across social media, social agency STN Digital, and analytics and measurement platform Zoom teamed up to quantify the league's online impact with a newly released WNBA social rankings. Now, let's discuss the process. Two of the most reputable companies in digital marketing and social media analytics, SDN Digital and Zoom Analytics, carried out the study. These figures weren't something they made up. Throughout the season, they monitored more than 20,000 pieces of material on Instagram X, previously known as Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. They determined the advertising equivalents for each post after analyzing impressions and interactions. They identified precisely what advertisements. Insight report. The research analyzes how every team performed across social media during the 2025 season and identifies which clubs and content pieces generated the most engagement impressions, and estimated it must spend money in order to have the same visibility as traditional sponsored advertisements. These figures are stark and unalterable. This is not a viewpoint. This isn't prejudice. This isn't just a talking head's attempt to garner clicks. Businesses and brands rely on this reliable, peer-reviewed research with statistics to support their multi-million-dollar choices. It becomes even more absurd when you consider the competitive environment. Second place went to the Dallas Wings, coming in at $8.61 million. Now, that's a pretty amazing figure all by itself. With a 55% increase in engagement and a 34% increase in social value year over year, the Wings had an amazing year. Any marketing team would be ecstatic to see such incredible development. Here's the issue, though. There are more than 46 million miles between first and second place. This race isn't competitive. This is not even near it. Comparing a Ferrari to a bicycle is analogous. It's not simply winning for the Fever. They are functioning in a universe that is entirely apart from everyone else's. The Las Vegas Aces came in third with $7.64 million, which is really quite reasonable. They are the dynasty squad, having a lineup consisting of elite players and several titles. The New York Liberty came in fourth place with $7.5 million, which makes sense given that they are situated in the nation's largest media market. However, things start to become extremely intriguing in fifth place. The Chicago Sky's total revenue was $6.35 million. Do you recall the arguments we heard during the season on who was actually drawing more attention to the league? All of those debates concerning the cultural importance and influence of rookies. That question was decisively addressed by the data, and it wasn't even close. There is a $48.69 million difference between the Sky and the Fever. There is no margin of error there. That isn't a pointless argument. That is a completely new level of participation and influence. The storyline for the whole season was that two players were equally responsible for the WNBA's expansion and attracting new fans. That narrative was heavily promoted by the media. The truth is unquestionably revealed by social media, notwithstanding analysts' continual repetition of it. It's not comparable impact when there is a $49 million difference between two franchises. One guy is producing value and engagement at a level that no other player in the league can even match. In order to measure the league's online influence, SDN Digital and Zoom Analytics collaborated to produce this recently published WNBA social rankings and insight study. Every team's social media performance throughout the 2025 season is examined in the study, which pinpoints the teams and content pieces that produced the greatest interaction, impressions, and projected media value. And this is what makes it even more noteworthy. After the season concluded, the Fever continued to broadcast content featuring Caitlin Clark. Most teams would have changed their emphasis, slowed down, and taken a vacation. The Fever, no. They continued to maintain that engagement. They maintained the flow of the text. They continued to give supporters precisely what they want. And it's simply good business, isn't it? You take your foot off the gas when someone is creating this level of interest. You continue to satisfy the audience's hunger and continue to ride that wave for as long as it is humanly feasible. In particular, the study looked at information published during the regular season between May 16th and September 11th. Additionally, the Fever amassed an astounding 38.73 million interactions and 1.17 billion impressions throughout that period. The word billion with a capital B is accurate. To put the sheer magnitude of that figure into perspective, consider that when you add together all of their social media accounts, it is more impressions than the majority of professional sports teams in every league receive in a full year. Here, we're referring to the WNBA, a league that has always had trouble gaining media coverage and public interest. This territory is unheard of. But hold on, things get much stranger. The Fever had a single YouTube video worth almost $750,000, which is among the most utterly ridiculous facts in the whole study. A single video does not constitute a comprehensive campaign, a sequence of posts, or a concerted marketing effort. The comparable advertising value of a single piece of content was $34 million. That type of figure shows how involved and active that fan following really is, which is what drives marketing execs absolutely over the roof. Unless people are actually watching, sharing, discussing, and returning time and time again, you can't get those kinds of numbers. Consider this for a moment. In fact, the value of that single video exceeds the full season's worth of social media for several WNBA teams. Literally, one piece of Fever content is worth more than all of the posts made by certain franchises over a 4-month period. That goes beyond simply winning. That is dominating in a way that radically alters the way the league as a whole must consider future fan interaction and social media strategy. It is essential to comprehend the mechanism underlying these figures. They employ a statistic known as the social value meter, which essentially determines the price that marketers would need to spend to obtain the same level of exposure through conventional paid media purchases. The value of social media fever is $55 million, which implies that businesses would have to pay $55 million to acquire the same quantity of impressions and interactions through traditional advertising methods. By only sharing material that their viewers actually want to see, the Fever are gaining all of that value naturally. That's quite effective marketing. The claim that the WNBA's expansion is equally distributed or that several players share equal blame for this enormous rise in popularity is totally refuted by this.